Our RSP season is done here in Canada, and hopefully we've had the last of the major snow events for this year as well. Now it's a question of waiting for the warm weather, snow to melt away, and for the green shoots to show up. That's the concluding theme of this update for the month of March. Greetings, viewers. You're watching Aman Sanga, Independent Financial Advisor in Mississauga, Ontario. For my update this month, as always, I will break it up into three main components. We will start with the index returns, and then I will spend a bit of time on the good news, bad news scenario. It depends upon the perspective that you look at it, and conclude by talking about the green shoots that I mentioned in my introduction. So index returns, a very quick touch base. The only point I want to highlight is that the bonds have given up some of the strong returns that we saw earlier in the year, and the equities so far are holding up. Now let's just delve into that by going into the second point, which is the good news, bad news. So I'll start with what could be the good news, and that is that the inflation in US is coming down. The individual candlesticks as they stand, the main reduction that we have seen is in the transportation sector, which is by oil and used cars. The other candlesticks, they are still holding their ground, which means, and this is the bad news part of it, that inflation has been resilient, it's sticky. Year on year increases, we are still seeing that changes. So it's not going away as yet. So it will be there for the next little bit. If we look at the US consumer is holding up well. We've seen an uptick in the retail sales. So that's the good news part of it. Now let's come home to Canada and see the same story in the inflation side. Inflation has come down, but some of the individual sticks outside transportation, they're holding the ground. Services are sticky, and that's the wage inflation story that's playing out. And you might remember the last update. There has been a phenomenal job growth, and just so many job openings and not enough people to fulfill them. So based on this perspective of whether it's good or bad, let's look at it from a central banker side of view. The Fed is at about 4.75. In Canada, we are at 4.5. The economy being resilient the way it is, we are seeing this might not be the last of the hikes that we see from central bankers from both sides. Canada has the decision on March 8th. That's in a few days. So let's see if they have a pause which is what they have indicated, and push off a rate hike to the later part of the year. Now with this, it's kind of an ambivalence on which side this is going to unfold, but basically the main theme that we could get out of this is that because the economy has been so resilient, the much feared inflation the much feared recession might not happen in 2023. It'll likely get pushed off into 2024. With that, if we go to the last part, which is the green shoots that I was mentioning, and this is, I think, the factor about emerging markets. This sector was beaten down because of COVID lockdowns in China, because of the war in Ukraine. And if you held it in your portfolio, you would have felt the pain. But now with China coming back online, opening up and manufacturing picking up, you can see the uptick in the manufacturing activity. And that could play into, with the Chinese exports resuming, that could play into the inflation story as well to some extent as far as goods are concerned. But overall, I think emerging markets is where we should see a good recovery in the later part of this year. So with that, I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back in the month of April. Take care and have a great March break.